All right, thank y'all for tuning in to another exciting episode of Talk of the Topic. I'm your host, Reezy, and I got two lovely guests in today from what's the name of you guys' podcast again?
The Transformation Effect.
The Transformation Effect. Now, can y'all break it down to us and let us know a little bit what the Transformation Effect is about? First, introduce yourself.
I'm Shay,
And I'm Javette.
and our Transformation Effect podcast is really the examination, the exploration of our individual journeys. We had a couple aha moments in life. We realized we're going to either live the life of our dreams or we're going to complain about not living the life of our dreams. We think about what started this was really, I went through a divorce and I realized in order for me to get on that space, even to accept the fact I wanted to go through a divorce, I took a journey. And that journey really transformed who I was. It transformed all of me. And I was seeing what was happening around me from the work that I was doing of that entire transformation.
Damn.
And so that led to me and Javette having these amazing conversations and her journey that she's on. And honestly, we got to a point we realized these stories that we have weren't our stories, but they were stories that should be shared to empower, to encourage, to uplift. Therefore, we're like, let's do a podcast. So that's kind of what happened.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my half of the story is that pretty much I went through a journey. By 30, I thought I'd be a millionaire, if not a multimillionaire. I had a lot young. I was blessed, did a lot of investments, but as I feel like I've experienced being a have and a have not. And so I embarked on my journey really after losing everything. I gained a lot of insight. And so from my job closing down to going through foreclosure, car getting stolen and stripped, just you name it, 11-year relationship coming to an end with high school sweetheart. So it was so many changes that I wasn't prepared for. And this is all within my 20s.
Wow.
So when that happened, I was like, man, I used to tie my identity to the things I had, and I had to learn that there had to be more. My value is not going to be determined by the things I have, where I live, or who I'm with. So my real journey, I started to embark on that when I used to call it like losing everything, but the lessons that actually came from that. And I remember reading in a book that if all I am is all I have, if all I have is lost, who am I?
Yeah.
And so that's when I really started to embark and learn, like, well, who am I outside of my job? Because when you make money, it's like, okay, it's kind of like identifying, like, oh, she got on some Gucci or she got on some. It was kind of like that. So like, oh, I work here. I was working at Numi at the time, and that was like a pretty big deal where Tesla is now. So I'm still on that journey. I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
And so that's about our journey of transformation. We're all transforming and becoming different versions of ourselves as we grow and we evolve. So we're just taking people on a journey with us and then telling people, you do the audit of yourself. You take inventory of your life.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just live the length of life. You want to live the width of it.
Absolutely. So we do things like a lot of mental health and a lot of things around what you can do to improve your, things like setting boundaries, what does it look like to do some shadow work. We explore everything.
Yeah.
And we're very candid about our individual experiences. So we get into our own personal business as much as we can, but we also are trying to just really be a voice to let people know that they're not alone, because life happens. And at the end of the day, we all experience different parts of lives, but the power of having someone to reach out and hold your hand while you're going through it is really transformative.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's pretty dope, man. It sounds like a dope podcast. Y'all need to tune in to that, man. Are you guys on YouTube or where's the podcast located?
Everywhere. We're everywhere. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music. We're on every platform that has a podcast.
That's pretty dope. Yeah. So tell me this, with you guys both coming together with these two major differences, but also being able to stay friends and stay connected and put a podcast show together like that. What are the ups and downs that goes within the everyday life, the everyday life struggle that you guys have, trying to keep things in perspective?
Oh,
I think about what we talked about today.
Go ahead.
I am such transactional. I work in the corporate space, so I'm very like on time planning, and I can a lot of times have higher expectations than what's real for people that don't operate the way I operate. So I think our biggest struggle is making sure I'm giving Javette enough space to do the things that she's able to do, and I'm setting real expectations to support her as a friend too.
Yeah.
So slowing down, I feel like, is my biggest struggle when it comes to the podcast, so that I can say, hey, life happens. If we can't meet this day, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's been my biggest piece for me. How about you, sis?
And to be honest, like she said, she's more transactional. I'm more relational. I'm very empathetic. I'm very like I get hit hard with the feelings enough to like I don't feel like getting out of bed. And this is like anxiety, depression, dealing with those things, and then caregiving.
Right.
That's been like a big thing for me with my mother. And so like with her memory loss and things of that nature, the challenges are very overwhelming. Like I locked the door so she wouldn't go outside. I went and took a shower. She hopped out the window. That kind of stuff. And it's very, I don't think we have enough conversations around what it's like. Who cares for the caregiver, right?
Yeah.
So when we're supposed to come and meet up and it's like, I'm in tears before we get here, where it's like, I'm gonna do the best that I can, but how do you watch somebody that used to be your rock and so solid in your safe place slowly disintegrate and feel like it's passing away on a daily basis, barely remember your name, and then show up in such a way where it's like I'm effective in these other areas when I know deep down I'm feeling distracted by life. But I will give it to Shay. One of the things I'm learning, I think we play off of each other
For sure.
because her strength is her ability to be more transactional. Right. Now, in the past, there was a little friction. You're not empathetic enough, but I'm emotional. And we gave her and I chatted earlier about like, if we go through the same circumstance, I'm going to instantly respond by emotions.
Yeah.
I feel this way about the circumstance. She's a high achiever. She's in a space very transactional. What can I do to fix it? It's going to take me a minute to get there. Yeah. So her holding space for me looks like, okay, my sis, she may cry a little bit or whine or okay, so what are we going to do about it? And just learning how to hold space for each other while she's teaching me how to be more transactional. I'm teaching her how to be more empathetic, and we meet each other in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's literally our lives are like we're learning from each other, and that's honestly another deeper level of like the transformation that's happening because of my life situation and me making the decision to leave a very toxic marriage, and that transformation and how I show up has forced me to be more empathetic. And I think there's so much beauty in that, so I can lean on her because she's like a pro at it, and she can lean on the space in which I'm strong. So yeah,
I respect that. You got. That's pretty deep, man. Remember, communication is key. And in this situation, both of you guys seem to be communicating well and respecting each other's spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's really all about.
And sometimes we don't. We got to keep it a buck. We step on each other's toes. I can't stand you. Podcast over. I'm never going to do this again. But I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm not,
but that's one time. I got to go. Bye.
But I think that's what has made our relationship so strong is because we have had those times where we've had our space or we're getting on each other's nerves or we're just having a different opinion or just in a different space in life. Yeah. So learning how to hold space is something I think we're the closest that we've ever been because we've known each other since like the 4th grade. But the reality is we're in a space in which we're working on ourselves individually. So as we come together as a collective, it's like, I don't have to judge you in an area you're weak because I'm strong. You don't have to judge me, vice versa.
Yeah.
Like holding space for you looks like, how can I support you as a friend?
Yeah.
I may not have all the answers, but I will get in the trenches with you and I'll ride with you. Yeah. And so I think with that, it's, and that's the thing. Like you said, communication is the key, but that's the thing. A lot of people communicate, but they don't connect.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's not miss the connection because sometimes what a person is saying is not what the other person is hearing.
Or what they're saying is not what they're actually doing, right?
Yeah, right. That part.
Sure.
So just I think like any solid relationship is almost like a marriage. Like when you really committed and you invested, like, I don't want to hear it, but I'm trying to hold space for this person.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's talk about it. Okay, right now it's not a good time. But also learning each other's love language and like, okay, she's gonna be more straightforward. For me, I'm gonna be a bit based on the culture and how I grew up. I'm gonna be a little bit more passive and creative with my love language. Like, hey sis, I felt some kind of way when you said, well, she may say, look, don't do that. But then, just understand. And it's like, I care about you enough to try to understand where you're coming from, but also what is the corrective action beyond an apology. A person really caring for you, it's going to be some kind of corrective action to change the behavior, to make the accommodations to achieve the objective.
Yeah, so. And it's so cool because so I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for over 1.5 years now, and I'm learning all these great tools. So I'll teach her the tools. So when she's in that space where maybe it's it just emotions are going because things are happening like at home, I'll walk her through the tools that I'm using to support her. And she'll be like, I don't want to do this right now. I was like, come on, let's process. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you doing? But it's allowed me to really show empathy, and it's allowing her to step up. So our relationship is the core root of why our podcast is in a space where we can be able to support each other. And it's just, I think it's forcing us to work through things in life that we've never even considered working through, right?
Yeah. That's because we're transforming our lives.
We are. Yeah.
Our podcast is growing with us.
Yeah.
Like each time we have an episode, I'm like, it's always something happening.
Yeah.
It seems like on that day,
it's like like you guys are walking through a journey together.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
The podcast is just a page or a chapter
Exactly.
in this walk that you guys got going on.
Absolutely.
But it's 2 things that you guys hit on that I like. Yours was love language and yours was therapy. It's 2 things that people don't want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's 2 important things that we should talk about.
Okay.
So can you, or both you guys, elaborate on what is love language for you?
Oh my God.
What?
Just the way she just smiled. Go, sis. What is love language for you?
That's why I was like, "Can you go first?" Okay, love language. Okay, so check it out. I am evolving. So sometimes I look at like what was my love language and what is my love language.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in this space where it's like, okay, what is it now? Like I used to love words of affirmation, but I also grew up in a very critical environment where I was taught whatever you do, not to say it's not good enough, but there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
So I have a tendency to pick things apart, like even when something's great, it could be better. You know, and so with that, it robs me of the credit in the hard work that I've done to get to the space that I'm in. And I'm working on that because it's affected my self-esteem, where it's like I have a hard time receiving even compliments like, oh, you know, you look nice. Oh, thank you. Oh, I should have did this. Oh, I'm loaded. You know, like, why are you oversharing? Like, hello. You know, but it's like, I think now, you know what, acts of service, because I learned that a lot of people don't align their words with their action. People do more talk than doing.
Okay, so for you, it's acts of service.
Acts of service. But it was words of affirmation. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. I would half receive it, half not. Oh, that felt good. Right. But it's like when you depend on other people and become intoxicated by people's, whether it's their opinions, it's like I think T.I. says something like, if you live by the applause, you'll die by the booze. Yeah. So maintaining that balance where it's like, no, I appreciate the compliment, but I'm not going to wait for that dopamine. Like you get a double tap like on Instagram. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like I can't depend on that for me to find peace, happiness, or feel valued. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like
absolutely.
That. Okay, so let me know.
Very much the same, however, a little bit different story. So when I was younger, mine was also words of affirmation. For me, words were used as a weapon to harm. So I think about just as growing up as a kid where I was teased and just constantly not feeling accepted. And as I have been on my healing journey, I recognize where rejection and acceptance has played a major role in some of the decisions that I've made. But the words of affirmation was something that I needed to help build me up. And as I've gone on my healing journey, especially coming from a space, like I mentioned, a very toxic marriage, I realized that words weren't enough. And the more work that I did on myself, the more I realized I was worthy of more love, but I needed to see the love. Right. So mine has evolved to acts of service. Okay. Yeah.
Y'all use.
Wait, wait a minute now. Don't be regurgitating what I said. See, mine's a little different.
But you already know, So here's the funny thing, because timing. I believe in divinity, right? Divine time for everything. My therapist just gave me a homework assignment for me and my partner, and I to take the love language test. And we just took it, and I gave it to you and your partner. And literally, Javette and I both are acts of service, and my partner is too. Okay. So it's just like I literally just took that test like last week. So, so that's what I was saying.
My boyfriend's love language is physical touch.
Most men are.
My partner's is also acts of service. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody can relate to that. So
that's funny.
So what I want to know is tell me a little bit more about what was on the text. Give us a little access to that. The viewers want to know.
So the test, you mean, so the overall test, as far as like what the different options of, as far as what the 5 different languages are the questions that it asks you?
The questions that it asks.
Oh my gosh. So if I tell you the questions, won't you be making the right answer? So so the way this test was formulated, it was really around comparison. Like, would you like more of this or that? Like, which would you prefer? Or we can even say like, would you rather, right? Yeah. So would you rather receive a gift, or do you like it when your partner brings you food? So it kind of asks questions around things like that. And you could be both, right?
Both.
But so then like something like that, you're like, okay, well, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Because a lot of times when I was going through the test, some of the answers were both, which was probably why my acts of service was like 33%. But nonetheless,
33 out of what?
So it's because it's 5 different love languages. You have physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service. What's the 5th one? Just help me out. Gifts.
Oh, gifts.
Yeah. See, I don't connect with that one because I don't care for gifts.
I mean, I like gifts, but
okay,
but
yeah.
First time I ever heard that come out of
She
a
doesn't
woman's
mean
mouth.
that. So it's like this ratio, right? So like the largest ratio of acts of service for her was like
33%.
33%. I think mine was 30%. But that's the thing is that they can overlap.
Absolutely.
And that's why I was saying, as we're evolving, like let's say there's a season where we really we got our stuff together. We don't have to depend on anybody for nothing. We don't need to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different value when somebody does something for you when you really need something done and you can't do it for yourself. Right. Versus like when it's like, oh, it's good, I got it. Like I'll take care of everybody dinner tonight. Right. It's good. I'm gonna bless you guys. But that's the thing is that depends on what space we're in at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're constantly in evolving. It's like a graduation. Yeah. We're meeting new versions of ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So so those are the different questions that it kind of asks you, and I found myself. It's so funny how like I was talking about this with my partner, and we're saying like, would it make more sense if you were acts of service? Because if it kind of will show you, or it's a telltale sign of maybe the trauma you might be going through. If you want the words of affirmation, maybe you were abandoned by one of your parents, so maybe you're needing to hear that, right? But if it's acts of service, you understand the quality of giving love is by showing. So it just really depends on your interpretation of what love is, right? But it was just interesting conversation around why we think acts of service is probably the best love language to have, honestly.
I also think an issue with a lot of this is a lot of people don't use these words. So in general conversation, you're not going to ask your partner about what their love language is because they're going to get caught off guard and not really know how to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because they think it's a text. No.
Like,
so
okay. I told you no.
I'm just like,
so silly.
Well, that's why I asked you guys to come because the conversation is women see and talk about things completely different than guys.
Yeah, for sure.
We're super. I'm speaking for most men right now. Most of us are super simple, right? All you want is some nice, good home cooked food. Okay. Some nice, clean drawers.
And get the notebook out.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, and some love and affection.
Yeah.
The words you used, you guys used, was an affirmation, right?
Okay.
Attention.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
You don't like gifts.
Me personally, I don't care for.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying you. You don't like. She doesn't care for gifts.
And she can speak for herself.
Right.
I mean, I like gifts, but it's like I rather come and cook for me. Like that's a major gift.
That's a big deal. That's for me, I felt that way as well.
Yeah, like come and cook for me.
If she took her time out to prepare me a meal, and I just came home from the podcast.
Long day of working.
Long day of work.
Just like left the gym.
And just left the gym.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? That means more to me than maybe a pair of shoes or something. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I mean,
because it's thought, it's time, effort.
Shoes, but the meal is more wholesome to me.
Absolutely.
It's more of an intimate thing. It's not bought and handed to me. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like we're sitting here now, we're going to enjoy this meal together. We're going to have an intimate conversation now over this meal. Them shoes, you pass them to me, I put them on, and I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm off to wherever the next podcast or deal is.
Absolutely.
So does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think about like the whole thought around the time and patience. Like we know when it comes to cooking, you're going to be in the kitchen 30 minutes to maybe 2 hours, depending upon what your partner's making you, right? When it comes to a gift, you can order on Amazon.
Right.
You ain't got to pick it up. You ain't got to leave your house. So it's the convenient, but it's the thought and the attention and the love and that you put into it. Not saying that you don't consider that with the gift, because I'm not talking about like, oh, you got me this car that I've needed. Like those are different gifts too. But to your point, it's like, how much effort are you putting to think about me? But I was going to say one more thing that people don't understand when it comes to love language. People think that when it comes to love languages, it's okay. I speak, let's just say, okay, clearly I speak acts of service. Right. But if my partner speaks a different love language, like maybe words of affirmation, it doesn't mean that I'm expecting my partner to receive my love because mine is acts of service. I need to now speak my partner's love language. So if his love language is words of affirmation, I need to affirm him. So that's the biggest thing. And me and my partner talk about this all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I can't receive your, like, I got to be able to receive your love, my language. Yeah. So I can expect you like, oh, my love language is a gift. So here you go. I'll show you that I love you.
Right.
No, but my love language is something different.
And that's the point.
And that's the point.
Back
Yeah.
to communication, keyword again.
Take a note.
As for you, you were saying similar, the same type of thing, but it was more of not in the gift type of conversation.
Well, I think, but I'm kind of like super deep on a whole nother level. So for me, it's like a gift can be your time, quality time. It can be your day is busy. You really don't have time to kind of come and see me today, but you kind of come by, give me a hug, and go on and get about your day.
Right.
You know, and it's just like, I appreciate that.
Your presence is the present, right?
Your presence is the present.
Yes.
Y'all remember that shit.
The present.
Stop acting like that.
Trademark that. All right.
The present is the present.
That's right.
Straight that.
Yes.
So,
and that's the thing. Time is the one thing. It's the one commodity that when we spend it, we don't know the balance remaining of it, right?
For sure.
So like
it's
I was
precious.
saying earlier, that we don't only want to live the length, we want to live the width of it. Maybe I'm in a relationship where we're super busy in the season of life, and we can't spend the degree of quality time I would like. But that doesn't mean that the quality of our relationship has to diminish.
For sure.
So, like to your point, learning to speak whoever I'm with, his love language, to understand that, okay, I may receive love like this, but understanding the culture in which he's grew up under and understanding how he receives love, I'm going to talk to him in his language, because it's almost like one person speaking English, somebody else speaking Spanish.
That part.
When you know, and then it's like you collide, and it's like, I'm giving you more of what I like, but it's like, that's what I like. Right. And then we're kind of, the signals are crossing and we're missing each other.
Yeah.
So with that being said, back to communication, do you guys feel like that with these crosses with whoever you guys are significant others, not talking about personal relationships, we can just speak in general.
Okay.
Do you guys feel like, how do you feel about couples therapy?
I love the idea.
And,
go ahead. Ask the question. Ask the question.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was asked about it and I said no. So
what?
That's why I'm asking.
You said no? Oh, wow. So I think there's two things, right? When you're building a life with your partner with intention, you have to remember, we grew up differently. It's different culture, like you just said, different form of how I interpret things. But if I want to build with you, I need to speak your language. Yeah. I may have my own perspective of how I do that, but with someone else who is a professional, who has the tools to help support me in learning how to speak your language, and you speak my language, we can build with a solid foundation. Right. I don't want rocky, we figure this stuff out, keep bumping our heads. No, I want to save time because it's precious, right? Mm-hmm. Give me a professional who can help us both speak each other's language, build a solid foundation, and move on. That's going to save us time. It's going to save us headache. It's going to get us to the bag a whole lot faster.
Super efficient. That's for you.
I'm for couples therapy. Have I ever been? Nope. I mean, I'm open to it. But then I don't think I've ever been with a person that has said, let's go to couples therapy. And I've never said it. I've just been open to it. But I think now at this big age, because I'm in my 40s now, so it's like, okay, let's be it. What does efficiency look like for us? And if we can't find a common ground, then maybe I think a lot of relationships are lost because people don't know how to collaborate as a team. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, okay, here's the intention of what I'm saying, but what did you hear? How many times do we have conversations with people and it's like, well, I'm saying this, and it's like, so what you're saying is, and it's like, wait a minute, where'd you get that from? Right. And it's like old trauma and old, like, oh, I've seen this before. Right. I know what happens next. It's a rerun, but is it? Yeah. You've been with somebody else, but you've never been with me. Yeah. So how are you going to tell me how this is going to play out? This is trauma showing up. So if I have the wisdom and I'll go, okay, there's something showing up and it's much deeper than this actual circumstance. Let's go get professional help if you're open to it. But both parties have to be open and receptive. Yeah. Now, what I'm curious about you is what made you say no?
I was asked the same question. No? I'm like, what are we going to say no?
I've never been to therapy. Okay. And I mean, and I'm not gonna say in the Black community it's frowned upon. I'm gonna say
it is though.
It is in certain, But for me, I think that I didn't go. I wasn't interested in going is because I figured that I was being a macho man and figured I could figure it out myself. I didn't figure everything else out.
Keep bumping your head. Keep bumping your head.
Right. But it wasn't so much of that.
You like reading?
Of course.
So reading is just another way to gain more information, right?
Right.
That's the same thing.
It's the same thing, yeah.
But the best thing about it is that you're going to get life lessons. So you know exactly what tools you need to build. Yeah. Versus like the assignments I've gotten from my therapist have been life-changing and so uncomfortable, but life-changing.
Yeah. I respect that. I might think about it. I'm gonna think about it.
You're just saying that to say it. No, think about it. It's done. I'm done thinking.
Because we evolve every day, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I want to be. I want to be in a situation where I want to be in a situation to where I want to keep evolving. I have children, and I want them to be able to see me
Be the
as
example.
the best version of
Yes,
myself.
absolutely.
I don't want them to be in a situation where I could have overlooked something, missed what
That part.
the whole whatever it was, and I could have. Instead of being so focused on my own things,
Here we go.
then I wasn't clear-minded enough to see what was in front of me.
Ew.
You know what I'm saying? What's going on?
Welcome to the transformation effect.
Hey, join our podcast.
There we go. Make it simple, because right there is what our podcast is all about.
Yeah.
Taking you on the journey of when we make the decision to say, I'm tired of hitting my head against the same spot. I want to live a legacy and leave a legacy so my kids can say, damn, my dad made me proud. My mom made me proud.
Yeah.
Whoever, so got to do the work. And you facing your fear is going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to tell you, in that level of uncomfortability, you're going to soar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah.
See, look, I feel lighter already.
Two bootleg therapists. So what you got to do is, wait a minute, ChatGPT.
Let's process your thoughts. What are you feeling right now?
Okay, so I want to ask y'all a couple quick questions before we get up out of here.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about how Instagram is affecting everybody on a day-to-day basis? Is social media, can it be a help or a hindrance?
What's on your algorithm? Let's talk about that.
I mean,
it's based on your likes, though, because your algorithm is a reflection.
So let's talk what's on your algorithm. So what are you seeing? What are you seeing on your algorithm?
A little bit of everything.
Okay, like
podcasts, cars, women, money. It's a whole. It could be anything. It's not one in particular thing.
Okay.
But for me, I'm asking you guys, what do you guys think about it? Because I see that. So what I wanted to know was, how do you guys feel about what's going on Instagram with I guess these social media gurus or people trying to help people with dating apps, like all that stuff. You gotta give me a breakdown of how you feel about how this is going.
It's funny because I literally was previously in another life. No, I'm playing. Earlier this year, I was briefly, literally, like.
You hold on.
No, okay. So let's break all that down. But so I'm gonna tell you, I was on dating apps for maybe a month and a half. Okay, barely.
Yeah.
And the culture on the dating apps was all around women wanting these free dinners and free meals, and it creates like a sour taste in these men's mouths. So now they're looking at me like, oh, well, she's here for the free food, right? So because of that, even though I never went on a date, let's be very clear, I had like one water date, like literally, we went out for water. How did we get here? This wasn't supposed to be covered. That is what I told you. You got jokes. So let me tell you. I will get, so to answer your question, two things, and I'm gonna get to that. Because of that, because women are like, oh, I'm here for free food, a lot of times on dating apps, what I was finding was these men trying to hurry up and see what you're really about. So I would literally have I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna break it down. Let me tell you, really, like what. So what you're really about? Meaning, are you here for the free food? Are you here for actually dating? So a lot of times, I would literally have a guy put a comment in or want to, hey, what's your number? And I'm like, and I felt uncomfortable because like, wait, you just saw me in this app like for one hot second, and now you're asking for my phone number. Very foreign to me. I was married for 9 years, so it was very uncomfortable. So I'm getting all this stuff. And so long story short, before I got into my relationship, I took a U-turn because I wasn't being. How do we make this about?
What the fuck is a U-turn?
Okay, so I pivot because my partner, before he became my partner, made it seem like I could go out and continue to work on my healing, was not being stern in the fact that he wanted to be exclusive. So I was like, well, if you don't want to be exclusive with me, then you know what? I'm not going to force you. So I'm going to just go out and date. Like I'm asking you very clearly, are we exclusive? And I guess in his mind, the way people communicate, back to that. Huh?
Friends with benefits.
No, it wasn't like, anyway, we're going to skip past that part. Because now we played too much of my business on the street.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I was trying to.
No, you couldn't make it plain. No. Oh my God. Anyway, like I was saying.
That's what I got.
Okay.
the culture of the dating apps was.
Women know the truth. Women know the truth.
No, I mean, but I didn't want that, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted something that had I really wanted substance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you feeling me, I'm feeling you. We're building. And the way he was showing up was a partner. He wasn't showing up as a FBF or friends with benefits. He wasn't showing up with that. He wasn't showing up like that. He was showing up as a partner.
Yeah.
So if you're showing me one thing, but you're telling me you're not ready for a relationship, then I don't understand. So if I'm asking you about it, and all of a sudden you keep saying, no, you're good. So then guess what? I went and did my thing.
Right. Yeah.
Literally, I had a water date because I swear to you, we just had water.
Yeah.
I went on one of my solo dates, and this guy reached out, and we had a 7-minute conversation. He did the talking for 6 minutes, and it was all about women. It was all about how he felt like women on the apps are out for just free, food and things like that.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I see how you're sipping that water. It was really it was really this bad image around women.
Yeah.
So when he understood that I was actually trying to build something with somebody, he had a lot of respect for it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sure, we can meet up. Was not interested in him at all because all he did was talk. And I can understand the man that he showed wasn't somebody I was interested in. But I'm like, hey, I'm bored. Why not?
That's a problem right there.
But hold on. I was very open and very honest and very candid about that. And he also knew that I was seeing somebody. So we would call it a situationship before it became a partnership. Okay.
He
So
said in the beginning, see how he said men are simple and women overcomplicate? He said that initially, and she was like, so I had nothing but water on the rocks.
Right.
No, I really did have water on the it was an interesting conversation. I sat there and listened to him talk about his ex relationships, and like that was it. And we high-fived, and I was like, take care. And when I explained to my partner that I wanted a date, that's when he realized, like, wait, no, I thought we were building. And I think not putting pressure on him, I think he realized by not communicating in my language at that time was going to risk us not building. So he's willing to do the work, and we both are willing to do the work, and that's it.
Y'all both going to therapy together?
So we have not started therapy together yet, but that's something that he's definitely open to.
You?
I told you.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'm open to it, but it hasn't gotten to that. But maybe it has to progress to that point where you start having certain obstacles. Then you start like, maybe we should go and see a therapist.
And to be honest with you, I don't want to wait until it gets crazy.
Yeah, you want.
I want to catch everything early, and that could be because when I was married. I've been married. I was married for 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a conversation about when you've been married and you're dealing with someone that's never been married, you can show up as a wife and they can be showing up as a boyfriend.
Yeah.
So that can create kind of like
women as well. Women as well. A lot of these women are showing up as a late night freak off Instagram. Hello. And these dating apps, they not showing up as no wife and they ain't cooking.
But they don't know how. Oh my gosh. But see, that's where expectations come in. And that's why I think it's important to start with therapy, but also knowing who you are. When you know who you are, you know your worth and you value yourself, you understand that you're not going to portray yourself as out there working on social media, looking for the likes and all that stuff. Like you carry yourself differently because you value yourself completely differently. And you don't see that enough online. Only women you really see that have experienced that are women that have been through stuff. And I think that's okay because in my 20s, I probably would have been twerking online too. Excuse me.
I'm just playing.
It's all good. Hey,
I'm just talking.
Great conversation, y'all. I love to have y'all back on if y'all interested. For now, let these people know where they can find y'all at.
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on every platform, Amazon Music. Oh yeah, you can find us on the Transformation Effect podcast, where you listen to your podcast at any platform. So again, that's Apple, that's Spotify, that's Amazon Music, and again, the name of our podcast is called The Transformation Effect. And we can also find us on IG at The Transformation.Effect podcast.
Which one of y'all don't cook?
We both cook.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure. Thanks y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. And
oh my God. You just say, we both cook.